It is, well, Kelly Island, right there. But it was a beautiful, beautiful day to fly out. We took out on December 7th, and well, yeah, these are mountains. There we go. Look at that. That's where we live, guys. So even though we travel all over, we have beauty all around us. Okay. So we flew Missoula to Denver, Denver to Houston, and then Houston to Buenos Aires, which was a 10-hour overnight flight. And then we flew to Ushuaia, but we buffered our travel by a few days. So we had a full day in Buenos Aires, and we just scheduled an Airbnb on our own, and we just bought a taxi from the airport. It was pretty easy, and they took us right to our Airbnb.
Flew into Azazia?
Yes, yep. And, oh yeah, so feel free to interrupt with questions. I'm just going to go in chronological order so I can jump back in wherever. So if you have questions, just let me know. Yeah, this is the street our Airbnb was on. It was in downtown San Telmo neighborhood, which is right around here. And the airport is over here. It was like a 40-minute drive, and it was like a $15 taxi. And then from there, we just walked everywhere. So this is a view from it, the whole Airbnb. And it was beautiful there. I would highly recommend just spending a day there or two if you can, or your travelers can. That's Grant, my husband, got to go with. There was just a lot to see, very cool, different type of nature there, very different architecture, which was fun. And then this is the cemetery at Recoleta. It's famous for its mausoleums, and I hadn't seen anything like this, so I was super into it. If you could do one thing in Buenos Aires, I would recommend this, personally. It was free, and it was a good time. And then we walked down to this lagoon, which is right here, and this is where's Recoleta? This was like where the mausoleum was, our Airbnb, and the lagoon. Very cool town, lots of culture. And then we walked to Plaza de Mayo, which is another kind of famous place in Buenos Aires. This is like 10 at night, 9:30, 10 at night. We just were able to order food. Not everyone would speak English there, so, but you can find people. So ordering was sometimes rough. We do know a little bit of Spanish, so we tried to use that, but Swahili is more our fluent language. That kept coming to the forefront of our minds. It was rough. You can see Grant ordered a pretty bloody steak there. But yeah, definitely recommend, very cool. Then the next morning, our next flight to Ushuaia didn't take out until about 2 or 3 p.m. So we had the morning to relax and sleep in, and our Airbnb lady helped us schedule an Uber to get to the other airport, the
Aeroparque.
Yeah. And it never showed up, or we couldn't find it. I don't know, Uber is weird there. So then we just flagged a taxi on the street, which is also super easy, and had him take us. And then once you get there, pronounce there with a sign, and they help you check in and everything, and from there they take care of everything.
Did you see any other operators with signs in Ushuaia?
I did not, but we.
Just the time over.
Yeah, exactly. Like we got there with like right on time. So then we flew to Ushuaia. It was like a 3.5-hour flight, and they met us there with these huge buses and took us to this hotel. The Arakur Spa and Hotel. It's like a 5-star hotel up on a hill in Ushuaia, and this is the view from our window. It was very nice. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. And this is the view out behind the hotel. I really liked Ushuaia. That's the hotel from the outside. So then we went into town. They do have a shuttle that you can take into town because it is like a 30-minute shuttle from the hotel up on the hill. It was a Monday night then at this point, so it wasn't great. Nothing was really open because it was like 9:30 by the time we got into town. But we still could walk around, and it was still beautiful. There's our ship, La Austral, if you want to see it. Austral, however you say it. This is, where is it? Oh, wow,
Sorry, you'll never find it again.
There it is. Emblematic Antarctica. That's basically the itinerary we did. This was a special marketing ploy. It was called Antarctica and Climate Change, and they were advertising these New York Times writers who would give presentations about climate change. So it had a different title, but it was this, basically. So yeah. This is the hotel and the view out over the city. Okay. Now I have to figure out how to go back. So yeah, we spent the night there. I kind of wish we would have just hung out in the hotel because it was super nice and not gone into town because we only had one night there. But you live and you learn. And then the next morning, they took us on a half-day excursion to Tierra del Fuego, which was great, but they took us in those big, huge tour buses, which was not my favorite, and they kind of just trafficked us around in that with everyone on the ship. But it was beautiful, and I love that they included this as a part of the cost and as a part of the trip. It makes sense to buffer it with this, and while you're here in Ushuaia, you might as well see things. So I think everyone should start to do that. But yeah, it was cool. Very windy, kind of cold.
Totally.
No, it's okay. Why are these loading? But yeah, and they fed us lunch there at the park, and then they dropped us off at the ship in those buses, and they took care of luggage and everything, so it was a very convenient and easy transition.
Holy shit, you can't move this.
This is our suite cabin, but it was pretty nice. Yeah, it was great. Not totally sure what it is. I think it's a superior stateroom, but we were on deck 5, and they never really told us what it was.
Balcony?
Yes, sliding glass door balcony. That door was super hard to open. Also, it came with this nice little water bottle here that I love. Anyways. Oh yeah, here's the, I don't know, Tierra del Fuego Pass. The view of the town from the ship. Our room had its own like tea and coffee anytime, and then also a mini bar like below it and a refrigerator with lots of different shots of alcohol and mixers and everything, and they would restock that every day. It also, you could go to the bars and a lot of the drinks were included. You could buy fancier ones for more money, but so everything was pretty inclusive, all inclusive. That night we did a safety drill. All of us in our life jackets. I don't know if that's standard or what, but
Yeah, it usually is.
okay. But yeah, it was just beautiful. French outfit, if you didn't know that. And yeah, that night we also kind of went over an itinerary of what we would do for the week. We didn't really know leading up to it, or at least I didn't. And then we took off and started crossing the Drake. This is what the food was like. So there were 2 restaurants. There was one on deck 6, which was the buffet. This is from the buffet. And then there was one on deck 2, which was the fancy restaurant. It was like 4-course meal. The buffet ended up being way more popular than the restaurant, even though the restaurant was bigger and nicer. So you actually had to make reservations at the buffet every night if you wanted to eat there because it was so popular, and that surprised me. Also, something I meant to mention in the beginning, if you go on an Antarctic cruise with Penant, they will make you fill out a medical form. Not you, sorry, your doctor, your primary physician, because we tried to go to a walk-in clinic. We tried calling around, like we tried everything, and it was very stressful because I had like 2 to 3 weeks and kind of had to beg our doctor to get us in. And so it's kind of intensive, and no one else will fill it out for you. Like the first question is, are you up to date with your vaccines, polio, tetanus? So you have to know all. It's intensive, and everyone who goes on it has to get this.
You have to do that for a while going on.
I know, exactly. Yeah, so that was tough. But if you want scopolamine, which I would recommend for the Drake, you need to go to the doctor anyways because it's prescription. This is what it looks like. This little patch that goes on behind the ear. What?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah. I got extras. It's very expensive if you get the name brand. It's like $20 a patch, but we got the not name brand. And it lasts for 3 days. You just need one on the way there, one on the way back, I'd say. So anyways, this was the fancy restaurant. That's an egg. It was all right. So yeah, the Drake, I would recommend scopolamine. I didn't get seasick. Grant did, even on scopolamine. So yeah, and we didn't even have it that bad. They called it Drake Lake versus Drake Shake for us, and we made really good time. I would recommend it, but it did give me side effects that were not ideal. I had a very sore throat and dry mouth, and then my eyes were pretty dry and irritated. So it felt like I was sick, like, I don't know, with sore throat symptoms, but it was still better than being nauseous because you could still get around and do things.
How long does it take to cross the Drake Passage?
They say, yeah, 2 days, but we got there in like a day and a half, so depends on the conditions. I was one of those people who wanted to experience the extreme Drake, and we didn't get to, so I was really disappointed.
Oh, I'm sure Grant wasn't.
No, he was not. Yeah, he was okay. So anyways, here's the outline of where we went, what we did. They gave us this at the end of the trip, which I actually really appreciated. So yeah, we took out from Ushuaia, which is up here, and crossed the Drake. We went to the South Shetland Islands first. We hit Half Moon. Then we went around the peninsula to the east side and back into the Weddell Sea. This is all the Weddell Sea down here. And then we went back up and around and down. So let's see. Yeah. Okay, so our first landing, this was on the second day. The morning was the Drake still, and then in the afternoon they told us we made good time, so they said we get a bonus landing, and I don't know if that's standard or not, but they made it feel like, oh, cool, this is really special and fun. I really like the South Shetland Islands. It was a really good first landing. It went very smooth. This is an example of where you knew you could walk. They'd put up these flags and you would be able to follow them all along. And these are the red Penant jackets that we got, parkas. This is a chin strap penguin. Oh, I'm obsessed with penguins now. This is a Weddell seal. It's snowing. This is also where we saw a glacier calf. It was right over here. We heard it more than saw, and that was the one time we got to see that, but it was still very cool.
What was the temperature like?
It was not bad, in my opinion.
Well, it was
like better than this.
Yeah.
Well, today is an exception, but yeah, it was around 30 on average. But yeah, people told me you can't bring enough layers, you can't bring enough socks, and then I definitely like overpacked, and I didn't wear everything that I brought, and I wish I would have not packed so much. And yeah, people would also like look at us and be like, you're not wearing enough clothes, it's so cold, and we'd be like, it's not that cold. So I think we're just adapting to this weather here. These are some whale bones. Pretty neat. This is a Gentoo penguin. This is a rookery, however you say that. One of their nesting places. Us. Woohoo.
Fancy jacket.
Yeah, and then these are also the boots that they provide. They're just tall rain boots that go up to about here.
And you get to keep them?
No, not the boots. The jackets, yes.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. And like packing it back was a pain because they're large.
You wanted to read it, oh, you pooped yourself.
Yes, so that is penguin poop. It looks a little graphic because it is red from the krill and stuff. Still kind of cute though. They are very smelly though and noisy. Also, this is the card key we would use. You had to take this with you on every excursion because they would, you know, scan it. That's how they knew everyone got back onto the ship. Nice.
Why is their poop is red?
Yeah, because of the krill they eat. And yeah, so I know it does look kind of graphic at times.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. and then them swimming. And this was so cool because penguins are like two different animals. When they're on land, they're this, bumbling, clumsy, cute little animal. And then when they get in the water, they're just this tactical being that torpedoes through the water. So that was cool. You got to experience that. So yeah, that was Half Moon. Let me see. Okay. So, kind of out of order here. Okay, so there are, as you guys probably know, multiple ways to get to Antarctica. The main way is from the tip of South America, Argentina or Chile ports, but another common one is New Zealand or Australia, and we do sell that. That will take you to a different part of Antarctica altogether. It'll take you to the Ross Sea. But I came across this other way to get there, which is flying from South Africa and landing on the continent. And yeah, it's this company, and they are very expensive trips. And it's really fascinating. So the flight takes like 5 hours. I don't know if our clients would really be into this. I don't know if we have rich enough clients. But so you take out from Cape Town and fly, and then they have all these activities once you land there, and you overnight and then fly back the next day. Anyways, I came across that.
How was the price of it?
This one's
$13,000.
Yeah, for one day.
One day?
For one day. The greatest day. Nope.
No.
But I didn't know that existed, so
That is interesting.
that's fun. Okay. The next day we went to Devil Island, which is on that east side of the peninsula, that back end on the Weddell Sea. This was on our way there. And this is the bridge. You're actually allowed up there almost all the time. They would only close it if we had like really dense ice we were trying to get through. But so that was cool. I really appreciated how open they were with it. You weren't allowed to really talk to anyone there because they're working. Also, they were speaking in French, so we couldn't tell what they were saying, which would have been cool, but nonetheless, it was still awesome.
Were most of the staff French?
Yeah, it seemed like it, except for, waiting and hotel service. They were largely Filipino or Indonesian. Yes, it was an interesting dynamic, but yeah. And then the expedition guides, they were from everywhere, Australia, the U.S., I don't know, anywhere. That is Devil Island. This is how we would load onto the Zodiacs. It felt really safe. They had one person in the Zodiac and one person on land or on ship helping you, so you were always holding on to someone. I never saw anyone slip or fall.
How long did it take?
It was quick. They had a good system, and they would divide us up into groups. Color groups is what they would, and so then they had a schedule each day, and they would rotate who would get to go first. I was in the green group, along with a lot of the other travel agents on board. So there were 5 color groups, and yeah, they didn't divide us up by like slow walkers versus fast walkers or anything like that, because we really only had one option for each excursion of like what to do, and they really limited where you could go each time. So that was kind of a bummer. It was pretty regulated.
Were there, I know Planat can do things for handicapped people in Antarctica. They're like one of the few.
Yeah, they have
were there
elevators.
Any people who were like older or handicapped, like how did they do?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, like there were some older people here, and I never saw anyone fall or slip or anything,
So
getting on and off, so it was good. There were some excursions that were maybe tougher, just harder climbs, that might have been difficult, but I would recommend Planat for older people. Majority of the people were really relatively old. Everyone we met would ask us what the we were doing there, because
Can you afford this?
exactly, and I was not prepared with an answer or to be asked it so frequently. I totally understand where they're coming from, but they were pretty straightforward, and I found it to be a little rude.
I trust them, baby.
Yeah.
So this is approaching Devil Island. Couldn't really make out what that was, but as we got closer, it's just a shit ton of penguins. This was a colony of 50 to 75,000 penguins. These are all Adelie penguins. You can tell by the black head and white ring around the eye. They were just everywhere. You were supposed to stay 5 meters away, but they would often approach you. I never got to touch one, though. It was frowned upon. This is them sitting on their nests of pebbles, their shit nests. This is one day where you could hike up and get a nice view from the top. We definitely did that to get as much exercise as possible. That's our ship out there, and these are Zodiacs taking people to land and back.
How long would you have on land? Because they had to rotate you guys.
Totally, yeah. There was like 160 people on our ship, and so we would get an hour and a half
Each.
on land, yeah.
Only 160, okay.
Yeah, 160 maybe, 180 max. Yeah. So we got there right as eggs were starting to hatch. So we did see chicks, but they were being sat on for maturity. So you would see them for like a little bit of time. It was so cool. I'm into Antarctica. And then we made our way further south on the Weddell Sea. We got to about 65 degrees south, and that is where the ocean started to freeze. And we actually just drove our ship right into that and parked, and we were able to land. Yeah, so we were standing on a frozen ocean, which was really cool, and they made it seem like this is not typical. Our expedition guide and our captain, who both have been to Antarctica for 15 years, have never done anything like this, so they were all very excited, but they did regulate it. This is where you were allowed to go for safety reasons.
Did they tell you how thick the ice is?
No, but I saw the end, and I don't know, I would say it's not very thick, maybe 2 meters. I don't know. That's pretty.
Oh, that's pretty thick.
Okay.
By not very thick, I was thinking
a meter,
inches.
2 meters.
Like,
No.
no.
It's bigger than that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, meters.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Okay. Well, not when you're standing on it. No. So that was a very cool experience. Definitely a highlight. And we had.
Did they get married?
Yeah, we had. At least I saw 2 couples who got married while at Antarctica. This was a couple from China. We had a large group of Chinese, and they didn't speak English. They were pretty loud. I heard they were kind of overflow. They had a charter they were all on, but then it oversold, and they came onto ours. So it was a large group, and they brought their own alcohol and everything. It's interesting dynamic. I don't think this particular itinerary sold super well because there were a ton of travel agents. There was that overflow group of Chinese, and then there was that extra room too, even. So it was interesting dynamic. Yeah, this was over 400 meters of ocean below us. That was so cool.
That's pretty crazy.
Oh, I guess that's the end of that. So yeah, to reference that. This was Devil Island, and then going further south, this is where we pulled in to stand on fast ice, is what it's called. Astrolabe. Next day, Astrolabe. So yeah, we had 2 excursions every day. Most of them were landings. We had 2 or 3 Zodiac cruises, and I felt satisfied with the amount of landings we got, actually. So this is Astrolabe, back on the western side of the peninsula. We saw more Weddell seals putting on a little show for us. This is the other couple that I saw get married. There could have been more. This was a couple from Iowa, and our captain actually married them, I guess. I don't know how that worked. More bellies, more chin straps. And this is the one day we were allowed to kind of play around. They let us slide down this hill here. Other days you were not allowed to do that, and people would try and you would get yelled at. So it's a good time. This is from the top of that hill. This is Amalia, if any of you, will work with Penant. Over email, she helped me get ready for this cruise. She seemed a little, I don't know, tough or, yeah. But in person, she was super nice and great. So that was, and she got to go on the cruise too, which was fun.
Are you wearing life vests, like, right there?
Yes, so these, you have to wear them every time you get on the Zodiac, and when you're on land, you can't take them off. But they're small and out of the way, and you don't keep them or anything. But yeah, those are the life jackets. For the Zodiac. Yes, they will, they should automatically inflate. You can also blow them up if it doesn't happen. Oh, that's, the other thing is the ice there. I fell in love with ice. It's like so cool, guys. This is the order anytime menu. So 24-hour room service. You can order any of this at any time. And then this is the breakfast menu. You can hang it out on your door the night before, and they'll bring it to you in the morning. It was just a nice feature. We thought we'd try it, so we knew what we were working with. Then we took a Zodiac cruise that afternoon. This is just an example of air bubbles traveling through the ice. And scientists actually have used this to discover the make of the atmosphere back like hundreds of thousands of years ago, because it has been trapped in some of these glaciers for millions of years. That's cool. Science. This is to get perspective on how big some of these icebergs were. This is a Zodiac over here for perspective. Pretty cool. This is a tabular iceberg, so one that broke off as a huge chunk from the glacier. Here's the Zodiacs. This is a humpback whale that we saw on our Zodiac cruise. It actually got pretty close to us. You can tell because of its dorsal fin, more of a hump. Also, they're the, like minke whales, they won't show their fluke when they dive down. So we knew it was a humpy. Yeah, that was so cool to be on the same level as it. I hadn't experienced that before. And then that night, we were cruising through the Gerlache Strait, and we saw actually hundreds of humpback whales. It was amazing. And it was right at golden hour. This was like 11 at night, and they were in groups of 3 or 4 just feeding. So they were bubble netting is what it's called, where like 2 or 3 will form a ring with their, bubbles, and feel free to leave if you need to. And then one from the base will make sound to force the krill up and trap them, and then they'll all come to the surface to feed. So that was happening for miles. There were just hundreds of whales all around. It was so cool. And you could hear them trumpeting, making this sound when they come up for air. There's a good example of the bubble netting. Oh gosh, okay, this is just maybe going to play. Okay, so this is their form of entertainment. This is what you could expect from Penant for entertainment. And so every night they would have a dance. They had one group of ballet dancers who would perform every night, and then also go on the excursions with us during the day. So it's impressive. We don't need to watch that, but I couldn't take a picture.
Did they do all the announcements in French, English, and then like Mandarin because there was large?
They did it in French and English, but not Mandarin, no. I don't know how they
I bet they're
were
their own
informed.
guide.
Yeah, and I think they could, maybe they did, and they could choose like what rooms to broadcast the announcements to. So maybe that's what they did, and I just never heard. Okay, next day was Orne Harbor and Island. This is the day we actually set foot on the continent. All other days were islands. That's a skua, another type of bird. More penguins. I don't get tired of them. Gentoos. Okay, that's 2 chin straps kind of performing this mating ritual where they will, make a call together and then point at where they want their nest to be together. And male and female penguins don't look different, and that's partly because they both take equal time to take care of the eggs and chicks. So that's pretty cool. It's like this mutual partner for life, true equality and all. Can learn something. Oh, wow, okay, now it's spazzing. Woo-hoo-hoo. And then anyone know what ship this is? We did see other ships while we were out there.
Magellan by Ann 21.
Yep, Magellan Explorer, the new one, and this is their expedition. So they had more adventure options. Our ship didn't do any. I mean, they had kayaking, but it was new to them, so they were still figuring it out, and it was very expensive. It was $1,200 a person. So we didn't do it, but I would have liked to. And yeah, we didn't even do the polar plunge, which was a disappointment, and
Do most ships then offer those excursions and they're like all included?
no, usually they're extra.
Okay.
Yeah, but not, they shouldn't be too expensive, like not $1,200 a person.
Like 900.
Oh, okay,
And then other things like snowshoeing and other stuff's cheaper.
yeah. And you can camp, which I would have liked to do. So I would have, for myself, selected a different outfit to do more adventurous type stuff. I don't know if it was a rumor or something, but we heard the reason we don't do the polar plunge is because the last time Penant did that, someone had a heart attack.
Oh,
So you have a bunch of older travelers. This is how you would decontaminate after a landing. You would scrub your boots off with these brushes, and then you would walk through soapy water. And you would do this before getting on the Zodiac and after, which I appreciated. They also made us do this decontamination before, like while we were crossing the Drake, where we would vacuum all of our outer layers so we wouldn't bring any like seeds or anything to spread things, which I appreciated their efforts. This is Orna Harbor. So this was a pretty steep trek, but this is the one day we got to be on the continent. So, you know, everyone wanted to land and step foot on the continent, but you could stay at the bottom, way down there, but I would definitely recommend hiking to the top. It was beautiful. For me, this was my 6th continent. I just need Australia, and for Grant, this was his 5th. He still needs Europe and Australia, so kind of out of order. It's just beautiful. So yeah, you can see people walking down and on there to the left. And this is outside the buffet restaurant out back. They only opened the outdoor seating once or twice, but it was beautiful.
Is that a hot tub?
No, I wish. That's a pool.
What was
You could just like eat your breakfast and be on the pool.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't see anyone swim. It was not heated. It was very small.
But the picture like everyone looks pretty casually dressed
No,
there.
yeah, it was super manageable. Like that, this day was probably 35, but the sun is so intense, it's really warm. Okay. Okay, and then this was a definite highlight, the Lemaire Channel. Okay, but first Peterman Island, sure. This is the one or two kind of bases we saw. It's abandoned, so we didn't actually really get to go up to it. It was surrounded by penguins, and they didn't let us go anywhere near it. It was an Argentinian base at one point, though. Here are cormorants and their little chicks as well, little fluffballs. Me posing as penguins. This is an example of a penguin highway, so they would, you know, travel in the same paths and camp down. Yeah, to make it easier on themselves. Just smart little guys. And then we took another Zodiac cruise that afternoon. It was amazing. We saw a crab-eater seal, so we saw 2 different types of seals. And they don't actually eat crabs. That's a myth. Kind of looks like a slug.
They use krill, and have you seen their teeth?
Yes.
So weird.
Ugh. Ice. And I actually got a picture of a penguin porpoising. So
What?
flying penguin. They do fly. Oh, and then we saw a minke whale, and you can tell by the dorsal fin, which is larger, but it's a smaller whale overall than a humpback. And this is the Lemaire Channel, which was super beautiful. At its narrowest point, it's maybe a mile across, and it's really cool. It's like two big gates, but for us, it was clouded, so we couldn't see the tops. It was still worth it, though. Very beautiful, and some good reflection shots because of that, and coloring. Yeah, that's cloudy. Yeah, it was super cloudy. And then that night we also saw orcas. There were two of them. They were kind of chasing this minke whale, which was cool. At one point we thought it was gonna hunt it and take it down, but I think they were just curious. These are ones that will eat penguins and fish, not other whales. But there are killer whales that will eat minkies. And then I thought this is interesting, just to inform you guys a little bit on what threatens Antarctica most. The degradation of multilateralism, so everyone agreeing together on something like Antarctica, and what threatens that is when people pull out, for example, of the Paris Agreement. They called out the U.S. and I loved it.
I also appreciate that they call us Antarctic tourism.
Yeah.
I know,
On an Antarctic tour.
I appreciated
By the
that.
way, you too.
Yes, yeah, it's you. You're threatening Antarctica because it is true. From 2017 to 2018 season to the following year, there was an increase of 17%, which is huge, and it's over 50,000 people a year travel there, and they, more ships are being added all the time, and it is a serious threat to it. And I'm appreciative that they mentioned it. I do want people to get down there to be more passionate about it, to start caring about it, because there is this mining ban that will end in 2048, so in just under 30 years. And so that's a huge threat. If people can start taking resources from Antarctica, start developing it, all that type of stuff, it's going to be very different. And what I loved about it is the fact that it was so untouched by humans. This is like one of the only places I feel like in the world left where, it's not, ruined. So I want people to be passionate and care. So yeah, I thought this was interesting, and I wanted you guys to see that. The lectures were pretty good. The New York Times people who were the main marketing ploy, they were not super impressive to me. They didn't have a lot to say, and they weren't scientists. The best lectures were given by the expedition guides, actually, and they would give just short presentations after each briefing each day. And yeah, we were actually encouraged to apply to those jobs because apparently all you need is like a degree in, science or history, and you can get it pretty easily. They're always looking for people. Next day was Danko Island. This was our last landing. That's the Penguin Highways. This was a good last landing because it was cloudy. It kind of made it feel okay to leave. Like, okay, it's okay. I guess I can leave. It's not that beautiful, but it was still sad and hard to leave at the end. I wasn't ready to go. It was an amazing time. These are some of the friends we made. These two guys are from Seattle. They're also travel agents. And this girl about my age, she's from New Zealand, and she brought her father-in-law because her husband didn't want to go.
Oh,
I mean, wow. Yeah, anyways.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they were really cool. The snow was pretty deep. And then we took a Zodiac cruise as our last excursion, and it was pretty lame. So it was short, and here's an example of the only plant life you'll find on Antarctica. These grasses here, and then this lichen. Pretty interesting. It's a harsh environment. This is an example of an overturned iceberg. Pretty neat.
How does that even happen?
Yeah, so they melt quicker under the water than in the air, and so it's all about the balance and distribution of weight, and so they'll flip every once in a while. I would like to see one turn. Yeah. So yeah, that was our last day, and then we crossed the Drake again. Don't need to go over that. That was all right. And pulled into Ushuaia, and we docked around 6 p.m., and then they let us off the ship, and all the workers were also done, except for hotel staff and servers. So all the bartenders and expedition guides, and everyone was off, and everyone went to a pub in Ushuaia. That was pretty cool. It was a good night, good last night. Flew the ship at night, docked. And then we flew home, and I think that's all. Here's what they would give us for programs, daily itineraries. They're detailed and color printed and everything. If you want to take a look.
So you said you had 2 or 3 excursions per day?
Definitely 2 every day, and it is weather dependent totally. So, but we were able to fit 2 in a day. First one was usually a landing, and then we had Zodiac cruises sometimes in the afternoon.
And they were about an hour and a half long?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we had to, it was a larger ship and we had to rotate.
But it didn't feel too short for you? It felt like a good amount of time?
I felt okay, yeah, because they limited where we could go,
Oh, sure.
which is smart. So yeah, you would cover everywhere you could go, and
You
so
already
then you're
gone
like,
everywhere, yeah. You're just gonna stand around.
where, yeah, where if you could explore.
unlimited, you'd be
Yeah.
like, no, not done.
Yeah.
Exactly, so I think it kind of made sense the way they did things, yeah. Any other questions?
How was the food?
Food was good,
Was it very French?
I thought so, yeah, there was, raw fish and fancy cheeses and things like that. I thought it was good, but yeah, I don't really have a comparison, so I don't know whether it was truly luxury or not. It felt like it to me, but, I don't know, don't have comparison. But it was good, it tasted good, and, you could always order a burger if you weren't feeling whatever they had. French fries, they had the standards, but yeah. Otherwise, I made a video. I made a quick little video, it's 5 minutes. Grant really went hard on the filming, so I was like, I should make a video for him, if you guys want to see it.
Yes. Were there any extra charges? You didn't have like that other excursions or anything?
Yeah, so, pause that. Yeah, you could buy, so drinks were included, certain mixed drinks were included, but you could buy fancier alcohol if you wanted. They had posters and, maps and things you could buy. They had a little shop where you could buy hats and things. So anything like that you could put on your tab and buy extra. Any kayaking excursion was extra, but other than that, no, I didn't spend any money on the ship. We did tip at the end, which isn't customary on a Pinot or just a French outfit, but so it was very confusing whether or not to tip. A lot of people did, but not everyone did, and it was this, I don't know, kind of confusing part of it at the end. Yeah. Oh, wow.
I can't do. But you tried. Do you feel like you had to dress up, Rachel?
Yes, that's something, not every night, but they did have a captain's gala, which everyone did dress pretty fancily, and you had to wear closed-toed shoes, they had regulations, and that was fancy for sure.
You went to the Weddell Sea, but you didn't see any emperor penguins?
No,
Oh.
I know.
Well, why is that?
I don't know.
Too early, or?
Maybe we didn't go far enough
Okay,
south.
yeah.
I know, I would have loved to emperor penguins. I know, right? They smelled so bad. They were fancy. That was me. Penguin being covered up.
Really good dating.
Have the December 10th through the 20th virtual cruise, yeah.
Oh yeah, the same time I should have been on it.
I really want to go. It's hard when to go. I loved it.
Oh, that's great.
My wife did not go to Argentina.
Oh.
Yeah. We had like 3 weeks, so.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Super tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Thanks.
What are you doing?
Rachel, that was awesome.
It was
Oh, what did you say is one thing?
What's good for you?
As like someone who's never traveled there, that
Okay,
was
cool,
most
yeah.
different than what you would have expected. Or that you maybe
Oh, man, how are your kids doing?
or they should be aware of before they go.
Yeah, sunscreen, because it is the peak of summer there, and the
Yeah.
sun is so intense, you would easily get burned.
Oh.
'Cause yeah, you don't think of that when you're going somewhere really cold, but,
Yeah.
otherwise,
Oh.
definitely recommend scopolamine, even,
Yeah.
I don't know, not everyone used it, but almost
No, it's supposed to be one of the most
everyone
painful
did.
things
Like,
ever, yeah.
everyone was wearing the
Your-
patches.
Yeah.
Grant.
Did Grant get almost like a ski session?
Sure,
Just like
but
super
like-
nauseous, like had to lay down kind of thing?
Super
Okay.
nauseous. I don't know if he puked or not. At one point, all the travel agents got together in the owner's suite, and we were talking and touring the suite, and it was coming back, and he was not doing well. He had to leave, and I don't know if he went and puked or what, but
I get really
yeah. Yeah, like we had not a bad Drake passing, but even with that, we would hit waves and it would splash up to like deck 6. And that's considered good, so it was wild. It was so
pretty
great.
fun, but yeah.
It was fun. I would have liked more.
Yeah.
What time was
What's
sunrise
the boat?
and sunset?
Yeah, sunset was like 12:30, 1, and then sunrise was like 2:30. So it never actually got dark.
Wow.
Yeah, the sun would dip below the horizon, but it was never dark. So you had to have blackout curtains, and you could wake up and see. It was so
You
cool.
feel super spoiled on like a Penang ship.
I did, yeah. Like,
So did you guys have like a really high-end suite?
I don't know. That's some people
That looked fancy.
we talked to made us feel like we did. They're like, you have a bigger suite than we do, so you should use that.
What does that mean? You should use that. You should stay in your.
Yes, that's basically what they're saying. Yeah, some people were so
Really, were you
rude.
trying to make me trade with you or something?
Yeah,
What's the deal?
Called Mo at one point during the cruise because I was like, everyone is asking me how we could afford this, why we're here. And
Yeah,
it's
what do you say to that?
exactly, because you can't say, yeah, I got this for free,
Mhm.
because people have been saving for it for 10 years or more.
Right, exactly. You don't want to make them feel terrible.
Yeah, so I just said like, I'm a travel agent, and then they would be like, oh, so you got it for free? And I would say, no, actually, my company made it happen for me. I also had to contribute, which was a partial truth. I had to pay for the plane tickets, which was like
We have to
$3,500.
plan a little bit of.
Yes, so I kind of just said that, tried to be as vague as possible, but people were,
Were they actually like really rude about it?
yes, some of them, some were fine, but there were some people who were just like, you could tell
They
bitter
were
that we
put
were
off.
there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just
Well, that's silly because it's like, I don't know.
No,
I could work for a tour agency if you wanted.
That's what I was saying, was
Right?
like, become a
It's part of my job. It's
Yes.
like, it's like you're here because of travel agents.
Totally.
Probably, and it's like, this is what we get to do so we can sell trips.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to explain. And most people were okay. Some were like super nice about it, and then there were some who were not nice about
Were they
it.
like
That's
older?
really interesting.
Do you think there
Yeah,
were
and they were
there
from
like, younger
Australia.
people there too, that they're like.
There were other young people there who weren't travel agents. There were 2 couples from Buenos Aires. So like we weren't the only young people, but we probably looked like the youngest people there because
Yeah.
we look younger than we are. So that kind of put a damper on the trip. It was tough at first.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Mo was like, who cares? Like I do.
No, I feel like that's
Just flaws it
an
be like,
awkward thing.
yeah, that is super weird. I wouldn't expect people to be rude about it, but.
No, I was not prepared for
Because
that.
like if
for
I
that.
feel like if I was in their position, well, I don't know, because I saving up for that one.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
also, like, I'd be like, good for you, like,
Or-
that's awesome that you get to do that for your job.
Even asking, like, how did you get here? That's like,
That's
I
True.
wouldn't ask somebody
personal.
that.
Yeah.
No.
Like, how much money do you make every year?
Yeah.
Was it Americans who asked you that?
It was everyone. There was a
Okay.
couple from Singapore who asked us.
'Cause I feel
There
like Americans might not, but
Yeah.
I feel like other
Oh,
countries
okay.
and like people are more straightforward with things
Yeah,
like that.
I did
So I
find
was
that
wondering if there was, like, a
Australian,
demographic that was more
Singapore,
like, so.
yeah, that's true. There were some Americans who did, and the demographics largely American. They tried to market to Americans for this cruise, so it was mostly Americans, and then probably next was Chinese, and then Australians, New Zealanders.
They market to Americans because we pulled out of the Paris
Mhm. That's exactly what I
I
love.
don't
These
know.
Americans need to see Antarctica.
They need some
Well,
steak.
it wasn't like my choice. I didn't pull it.
But it was nice because people on that cruise at least all cared, it seems like. They were there because they cared about Antarctica and climate change and things.
Have you guys ever watched the TV show Whale Wars?
Yes,
Oh,
I've heard of it.
I think I might have told you. I think I might have told you about it before you went. You should all watch it. It's insane. It's about this Australian guy basically, and every year he hires. Basically, they're all volunteers. They're all people who are passionate about Antarctica and the whales mostly.
Cool.
And so the Japanese whale, and they kill, it's like they can kill 1,000 something every, like, and they have a 3-month season, and they can kill, it's minke whales and humpback whales.
Is it like a conservation effort thing,
Yes.
like based on
So,
ecology, so they're like,
basically,
okay?
Japan has this quota that they can kill for research purposes. So the Japanese say they're killing
Sure, yeah.
whales, 1,000 whales every year for research, which
No.
no. So that's their front anyways, but they're obviously like packaging the meat and selling it back in Japan. So this guy, his boat and all of his volunteers are called the Sea Shepherds.
Well, I've heard about that.
Yeah, and they're like, basically they are like these pirate conservationists, and they chase down these whaling ships and basically harass them as long as they can.
Isn't there a is this a
It's a
documentary?
TV show.
It's a
Yeah,
reality.
It's a reality. It's so good. And honestly, I feel like if I went to Antarctica and I saw them, I'd be like, chase them down! But Tad and I really got into it. And it's so, like, you learn so much about the whales and just, like, all of Antarctica, too. And this show is extremely fascinating.
It's cool because, if you were going to keep going.
No, I was just going to say, so when you got to see, like, the minke whales, and I would, oh, gosh, that's
It was
just amazing. They're so beautiful.
I seriously loved it.
Yeah.
So the northern hemisphere whales, humpbacks, versus southern are actually two subspecies is what they're finding out because they never actually interact. They both frequent the same areas at the equator, but at different times of the year. So they're actually thinking they're two different. Anyways, I learned so much science
So
stuff
they're
and
like
I loved it.
humpbacks are
That's
different.
pretty cool.
North side versus south side.
So they're both humpbacks, but the Antarctic species is larger and has more white coloring on it than the northern. And then also northern, they feed in larger groups of like sometimes up to 15 whales, whereas these will do like 3 max.
That is so fascinating.
Yeah, so they are kind of different, but they're both humpbacks. So. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, made me want to work on one of those ships as an expedition guide. They were like really encouraging of it. They're like, you can seriously do this. Here's my email if you want to learn
That's
how to
awesome.
like
That's funny.
get
So
these
funny.
jobs. Yeah,
Wow.
they were awesome.
That
They
would
were
be quite an experience just for like a season.
right.
Just-
They're like you can do like a few
Experiences.
cruises and that's it. Like you
Wow.
can So
And did you find a lot of French people on board too?
there was a small group of
Hmm.
French people and I don't think they were super happy with it because it was mostly Americans and I think they felt excluded. But the French had their own like lectures. They would give.
No, for their small group.
Yes, so it's like you guys are. I don't know why you're so butthurt. Like, yeah. But they were nice enough. Yeah.
Do they speak English?
I I don't know, I didn't really interact with them. I heard them, I knew who they were, cause I
And their
could,
accents.
yeah, but.
Wow, what an amazing